we accuse the Russians of foul play. They just accuse us of spying. They've always denied any involvement in this disappearance. Now this is the illustrious, this is the last of the three of the Invincible class aircraft carriers, the smallest carriers ever built to fly Harrier jump jets. 210 metres long, 36 metres wide. When the Harriers were in service, the crew complement on board there would have been 1,000-ish sort of people. About 650 would have been Royal Navy, the rest would have been made up of Fleet Air Arm and or auxiliaries. That leaves the Navy without a carrier till 2017, when Queen Elizabeth will make her first appearance here in Portsmouth. While we're alongside one of the most sophisticated warships anywhere in the world today, the Navy have 6 of them, and these are the Daring class, Type 45 destroyers. This was the second one to be built. Dauntless. £1 billion each, they say. Now they have got one of the most sophisticated missile tracking systems anywhere. They call it the Samson multifunctional radar. Well, I'll tell you how good this radar system is. Her sister ship, the Defender, is currently in the Red Sea, where the Americans are letting our warship give air defence to one of their massive aircraft carriers, the George H.W. Bush. And you know the Americans wouldn't leave the defence of one of their ships unless they were very, very confident that it could take on the role. Unloading her bananas at the sheds of MMD, Mainland Market Distribution. Portsmouth is the second biggest importer of fresh fruit in the UK, with second only to Dover. In particular, Portsmouth imports something along the lines of 78% of all the UK's bananas. This is the 4th ship in about 8 days that has been, banana boat, that has been in to empty her bananas into the sheds of the MMD. When they take them inside, they're fumigated because from time to time the odd creepy crawly or spider does make its way across with the fruit. They're held down there sometimes for 3 weeks or so to start the ripening process, then sent on to the main distributors. It wasn't till the island is crawling with black rats eating the rotting corpses that local people are horrified. They fear the return of the plague. They commission the Navy to clean up the island. Please look over the left-hand side. This is quite a nice photograph, actually. The most modern warship in the world today, £1 billion. There's the oldest one, over her bow, the Victory. She cost £100,000 to build as a 104-gun first-rate ship of the line. She becomes famous, really, I suppose, in 1805 at the Battle of Trafalgar. She sails into battle with 821 men and boys on board. Now they carry him below decks. Sadly, it takes him hours to die in agony. Before he dies, he begs his friends, please, don't bury me at sea. Because in those days, the tradition was, they used to sew you up inside of your own hammock. Now they put a cannonball or two inside there with you to weigh you down. The last stitch, they used to push it through one of their nostrils. They would do this just to make sure they weren't pretending to be dead. And then they were thrown over the side of the ship. Well, the dilemma they get left with What are we going to do with his body then? Because we get serious battle damage. We're not going back to England for months. This is where the ship's surgeon comes in. He's a chap called William Beattie. Pouring a barrel of brandy into a big barrel of wine, he pickles Nelson's body, literally. Now when they get back to England, and this is over 3 months later, he removes the lid. It's done a marvellous job of preservation. Taking the body out of the brandy, he escorts it to London for its funeral. Of course, in those days, brandy cost a fortune. And not going to waste one little drop of it, the officers and crew decide we'll have a little drink then, in memory of our fallen commander. And it doesn't take much imagination to guess from where. But you know, on the day, they said that every man on the ship comments on its full-bodied flavour. Now, this surgeon, this William Beattie, in the 4-hour battle, 61 of the crew get killed and 180 are badly wounded. He ends up having to carry out 11 whole leg amputations. Now he's working down below the waterline of the ship. It's quite dark. Yeah, he's got lamps, but remember, the ship is tangled up with another ship. The battle is raging all around them. There's no anaesthetic for those people. They got a bit of wood to bite down on. 2 or 3 of their mates would have pinned them down while the surgeon sawed their leg off. I mean, how grim was that? Built for the millennium, it was going to be called Millennium Tower. Only from the very first moment of the tower's construction, there was always problem after problem, setback after setback. And it is eventually completed 4 years behind schedule. Estimated build cost £6 to £8 million. It ends up costing £36 million. Look at the white metal frame running up the front of the tower. This was a small glass scenic elevator. On the day of opening, the local dignitaries proudly board. They are a third of the way up when it breaks down. Highly embarrassed, they all have to be rescued and lowered down by abseiling engineers an hour and a half later. It's never worked once since. But the people of Portsmouth love the tower, and rightly so. It's a very impressive looking structure. The tour through that submarine is out of this world. If you get a chance, before the half term kicks in, get down there. It is absolutely fantastic. Look at that marvellous view out into the eastern Soviet. Look, there's ships right out at the deep water anchorages, look. Look at the 3 sea defence forts: Spitbank, Horsands, No Man's. Built out of 15-foot thick granite blocks anchored to the seabed. They've each got their own freshwater wells. The wells are 401 foot down, and the water comes by a river under the seabed from France, believe it or not. Off to the right, steeped in maritime history, Spice Island. That is where Sir Walter Raleigh landed the first tobacco, the first potatoes, in the late 1500s. This is where the spice ships unloaded their herbs and spices. Hundreds of men and boys press-ganged into the Navy from there. Do you know, most of them, they don't survive 5 brutal years of service they have to give for Queen and country.